All right, welcome everybody to another deep dive. Today we're diving into the often dreaded, always complicated world of getting a Schengen visa.
Yeah, not exactly known for being a quick process, right?
Yeah,
Lots of paperwork, lots of waiting, lots of uncertainty.
exactly. But hey, that's why we do these deep dives. We roll up our sleeves, we dig into the sources, and today we're looking at how to potentially speed this whole thing up, like way up,
Like 7 days up.
7 days up. Ambitious, for sure. But our sources suggest it might not be as impossible as you think. Whether you've got a sudden business trip, a family emergency, or just a spontaneous travel opportunity, this one's for you.
Right. Those last minute trips can be exciting, but also a little stressful when you think about the visa side of things.
Absolutely. And the first hurdle, the one that often gets overlooked, is where you even apply. It's not just about which country you're going to. It's about choosing the right country to apply through.
Yeah, that's a bit of a curveball for a lot of people. You'd think it wouldn't matter too much, right? I mean, it's all the Schengen zone.
You'd think so. But our sources, they're painting a different picture. The general rule, of course, is to apply to the country where you'll spend the most time or the country of your first entry.
But if you've got some wiggle room in your itinerary, some flexibility, this choice can actually make a big difference.
Huge. And the data backs it up. Some of the usual suspects, like France, Spain, Italy.
Super popular destinations, always a ton of applications.
Exactly. And that means, well, longer processing times, just sheer volume.
Makes sense. So what's the alternative?
Well, our sources are pointing to countries like Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia. They're reporting significantly faster processing times on average.
Interesting. So let's say, hypothetically, someone's planning a trip that's split pretty evenly between Germany and Lithuania, but they're flying into Vilnius first.
Hmm. Applying through Lithuania in that scenario could potentially shave days, maybe even a week off their waiting time.
Clever. So step one, if you can swing it, be strategic about where you apply. Now, step two is all about being prepared. And I mean really prepared.
Absolutely. This is where procrastination will bite you. Having all your documents ready to go, perfectly organized, is the single best thing you can do to speed up this process.
And we're talking about everything. Your passport, first and foremost. It needs at least 6 months of validity left. And crucially, 2 blank pages.
Then, of course, the Schengen visa application form. Make sure every field is filled out accurately and signed. Don't rush this, folks.
And that passport photo. Stick to the official Schengen requirements. Don't try to use an old one or cut corners there. It'll just cause delays.
Next up, your travel itinerary. Confirmed flight bookings and proof of accommodation for your entire trip.
And don't forget travel insurance with a minimum of $30,000 coverage. That's mandatory.
Right. And you need to prove you can actually support yourself financially during your trip. Recent bank statements, salary slips, or a sponsorship letter if someone else is footing the bill.
And last but not least, depending on if you're employed, self-employed, or a student, you'll need an employer letter, business registration documents, or proof of university enrollment.
Phew. It's a lot, I know. But trust me, having everything ready to go up front will save you so much hassle and time in the long run.
Think of it like this. Every missing document or tiny error is another reason for them to delay your application.
Okay, you've got your bulletproof document file. Now, where do you actually take this thing? Step 3 brings us to the world of visa application centers.
Things have changed a bit. While you can sometimes apply directly at the embassy or consulate of the Schengen country you're targeting, it's becoming more common to go through these authorized visa application centers.
VFS Global and TL's Contact are some big names our sources mentioned. They handle visa applications for a bunch of different Schengen countries.
Right. And here's another little hack for the speed demons out there. A lot of these centers offer premium services.
Yeah, think expedited appointments, priority processing, basically cutting in line for a price.
Exactly. Worth considering if you're really in a crunch. Of course, there's an extra fee, but hey, time is money, right?
Right. And even if you don't go premium, always ask for an express appointment if you're in a hurry. Don't just take the first slot they offer you.
Be proactive. Let them know you're on a tight timeline and see what they can do.
Now here's where things get a little weird. Step 4 is all about the timing of your appointment. Apparently, even the time of day and the day of the week you choose can impact how fast things move.
It's all about working with the rhythms of the visa center, I guess. Our sources are suggesting that early morning appointments might be your best bet.
Yeah, the idea is that the visa officers are fresh, haven't dealt with a huge backlog yet.
Makes sense. What about the day of the week? Any tips there?
Stay away from Mondays and Fridays, apparently. Mondays have that weekend backlog, and Fridays, well, everyone's thinking about the weekend.
So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Sweet spot.
Sweet spot. And here's another little trick. If the country you're applying through allows it, check for appointments at different application centers within that country.
Oh, I like that. Sometimes one branch might have earlier openings than another.
Exactly. It's like finding the shortest line at airport security. A little effort can save you a lot of time.
I'm all about that. So, you've aced your appointment, or maybe you didn't even need one. Step 5 is all about that sometimes dreaded visa interview.
Not everyone gets called in for an interview, but if you do, don't sweat it. Just be prepared.
Key thing here is to answer all their questions confidently and honestly. Be clear about your trip, why you're going, where you'll be staying, how long you'll be there.
And keep it concise. No rambling stories. Stick to the facts.
Right. And here's a little pro tip. Even though you already submitted all your documents, bring the originals to the interview too.
Always good to have them handy. The interviewer might want to verify something, and having everything right there will keep things moving smoothly.
Shows you're on top of it. Okay, interview done, or maybe you skipped that step entirely. Now we're at the final stage, step 6, tracking your application and, fingers crossed, getting that visa in record time.
Once you've submitted everything, you'll usually get a tracking number. Use that to monitor your application online on the Visa Center's website.
Check it religiously. Most embassies and visa centers also offer SMS or email updates, which is super convenient.
Definitely sign up for those if you can. That way you'll know the second there's any news.
And as soon as that visa is approved, don't waste a minute. Go pick up your passport and visa right away. Any delay on your end could mess up your travel plans.
Some visa centers even offer express courier services to send your passport back with a visa. It costs extra, but if you're really in a rush.
Could be a lifesaver. All right, so that's the rundown. 7 days for a Schengen visa. It's a tall order, no doubt, but our deep dive shows it's not completely out of reach.
It's all about making smart choices, being meticulously prepared, and being proactive every step of the way.
Exactly. Don't just passively wait for things to happen. Take control of the process, and you might be surprised how quickly it can all come together.
Now, for our listeners, we want you to think about your own travel plans. Do you have the flexibility to apply through a different country? Are you a master organizer when it comes to documents?
And most importantly, what's the biggest takeaway for you from this deep dive? What surprised you the most about the Schengen visa process, and how might that change how you approach international travel in the future?
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.